Yeah, a video game that was released.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER, everything sci-fi, fantasy, and pop culture. I am Seven.
Yes.
We've got Kipjo and we've got HB Gibson. So, we're going to be talking about studios. We're going to be talking about studios. Now, what kind of studios? We're talking about film studios, music studios, talking about some people, some areas in the country where they're building a lot of studios or they're ramping up their studios, as well as just independents creating their own studios. So, first of all, there's a lot of film studios, you know, since Tyler, you know, started doing his thing, blowing up in Atlanta. There's huge productions, other studios. I think Universal has something down there. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of new studios in Boston. There's like 3 new studios about to blow up in Boston. Louisiana, I believe, 50 Cent and Mark Wahlberg. How do you say his name?
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. They're doing a studio in Louisiana. They just dropped this week that Cat Williams is doing a studio in Alabama. There's a Netflix studio in New Jersey. They already built one in Brooklyn, but now they're Brooklyn, New York, and now they're building one in Jersey. So what's going on? Well, we'll talk about film first. What's going on in the industry where all these people are building film studios?
I'll let you go first.
Me, obviously, 50 Cent, he started off with the Power series. It was a success. It moved on from there to the Book of Ghosts. And then, ain't BMF his? I'm sure BMF. So, there's money in that market. You can't deny it. And if you're a producer and you can do 95% of the work, that means you're taking in, you know, majority of the money, and people see where that money is. So, you know, and I'm saying this from someone I saw. So I watched the first 4 seasons of Power before I lost interest, and I'm like, I won't get into it, but I'm not going to deny it. It's kept going. It's kept going, and then it moved on to. I mean, the other one is still going with Tariq, and like I said, the BMF. So, you know, you can't. And people again, they see it, and they're like, hey, if I got the money and I can get a production company going and put the films out, why not?
Absolutely. I think we're also living in a time where, like a long time ago, it was just 20th Century Fox and Universal and Orion Pictures and Paramount and Warner Brothers, all the big wigs, and you had to go through hoops in order to have your script looked at or your film looked at, and there was these gatekeepers all around. As we started to go into the 2000s, especially in the early 2000s, that veil, the gatekeepers became smashed. People are not waiting on the big guys to give them a break. People are saying, you know what? What the hell? I'm going to make my own damn movie. They have the technology is amazing. People have been coming up with their own content online. Fantastic films made by independent people that rival or even better than the stuff that's out there. People are coming out with their own music, doing their own music out there, and companies like CD Baby and Intercore and all these other companies where you can actually sell your own music and actually make money and not have to go through a record company. You can have your own record company now. You can have your own thing. You just have to be responsible for your promotions and everything, and going out and promoting your stuff. The day of kissing somebody's behind and the casting couch is over. And since we have all these streaming choices out there, there are people out. You can make a movie right now and have it on a streaming service like Tubi, maybe Freevee, and have your movie actually be seen. If Netflix don't want it, you could put it on Tubi. If other companies don't want your film, you can there are streaming networks out there that will take your film, and there's all different levels of quality. There are people that are big fans of the really, really polished films, and there are big fans also of those really, really campy, low quality films that go, well, how the heck did this get made? But there are fans of those films out there. I've seen it. You look at this movie and be like, ew, how the heck did this get made? But there are fans that enjoy those films. So there's something for everybody out here.
I agree. And I've heard that too. Like, people actually do like the camera shaking, the lighting being bad. Like, they really. It's a thing.
But they don't mind it.
They don't mind it. In fact, but they like it. They actually like it. Yeah. Yeah. So,
people making their own video games. I took advantage. When I started doing voiceover, when I started doing voice acting, I said to myself, I said, you know what? These incredible independent horror games that they have out there, just incredible. I went on ahead and I sent my reel to Puppet Combo. They said, okay, I want you to send your reel to this email. Then like a week later, I got a call back. And, they paid me what they paid me. And I have been a go-to voice actor along with a whole bunch of other people. We're like the main voice actors for that video game company, because I knew that these guys probably didn't have a whole lot of money, but I just wanted to voice a video game. I just wanted, and I'm in my 6th video game now. You can do it. Anybody out there that wants to do a film, wants to do their own video games, you can do it.
Yes.
Wow.
Amazon was the gateway for a lot of, and I say it again, when I started the script for the first, I tried to shop it around. I went Penguin Publishing. I went all the big ones, and all of them said the same thing. Oh, it's a nice story. It's a real, but we can't find a market for it. Well, I was like, okay, but I knew there was a market for it.
Right.
And lo and behold, Amazon had the platform for independent writers, and like you said, as long as you have the drive, the consistency,
there it is.
That's all you need, and you don't need. You've got independent artists and writers that are making the getting recognized as top writers in the industry, because they have stories to tell, and they're beating out a lot of the publishing. Now you've got publishing companies going to these independent writers that they pass by to try to say, yo, can we promote? Now they've got a wing where they just promote their work. Like, we'll publish and promote your work for a fee, pay a lot of legwork for you. Because they realize that, who they pass by, they actually had something. And now they're losing revenue. They realize that, dude, we're losing revenue. And a lot of these studios need to realize that if they keep this gatekeeping thing, where they're being selective, you've only got a certain amount of money, and if you you've only got a certain amount of money in the budget, and a lot of people need to understand these big companies, they borrow that money. That's sitting in like a savings account. They got to go to a bank and literally borrow the money for this movie, and that goes back to, if they don't make a certain amount in the box office, they got to pay back the bank first, then they got to pay back the expenses for advertising and all of that. That's why if they don't make back 3 or 4 times what they put into the movie, it's flops.
Exactly.
That's a flop. It doesn't matter how much you like it. If they don't
Hmm.
make 3 or 4 times of what they made.
Right.
So I understand the selectiveness of, especially with new IPs.
Hmm.
But dude, you got to open up the door a bit more, because people are not. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're putting out is straight trash.
Mm.
Yeah,
How is
yeah,
how is it that the Joker? You literally had two clown films, two
yeah.
insane clown films out. You had Joker Part 2, and you had Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 kicked Joker's behind,
Yes.
and also opened up a door for one of my favorite independent artists. His name is Dream Kid. He specializes in making synthwave
Yeah.
music, and his song is on that film. Tell me that independent people can't get together and do something.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Oh.
Wow. So I said this years ago. No one paid attention to me, but it's okay. I said film
I'm sharing. I'm
film
sharing.
is
I'm
gonna
totally
go in the
sharing.
way of the music industry,
Mhm.
and I see it now. You know, where again technology has developed, just like, oh, you could record your own album. Well, now you can film your whole film.
Yeah.
But where does that leave us? You know. So think about that. But let's go. So just so we don't lose track in time and everything. Should an independent artist create their own studio? It's totally understandable how Kipjo, how you said with 50, it makes sense for him. Well, he's just doing his series, and instead of paying rent, he's paying himself, right? But for an independent, is it worth it for an independent to do that? And you can go back and forth between film and music, but because it's almost the same thing. It is content, no matter which way. And we just said how both roads do have outlets to get it out there, but is it worth it?
It's total control of your own thing. If you really enjoy what you do, and you do it well, and you put it out there, the style, the genre of lo-fi music, it ain't the most polished and the most polished produced form of music, but that's the reason why it's called lo-fi, and people like it. And it's simple beats and things like that. It's all about controlling your own stuff without nobody else telling you what to do, and the money going straight to you. You're giving yourself a space to create. There's nothing like a creative space. I love my studio. I moved it from downstairs to upstairs. I'm so glad that I moved it in a larger room. When I come in here, this is my zone, and I get very creative in here. And you get a chance to just really just pour it all out. Whatever is in your heart, you have a space to create, and that's what's most important. You need a space to create. If it doesn't come out for a long time, it's okay, but you have a space to create. Make it yours.
I go half and half with that. Now, I agree with him on that, but I also feel that people need to play to their strengths. You have a lot of people wearing a ton of hats and think they can do everything, and they say, "Oh, I'm the, this, that, the another," and then the one thing that you're good at falls through. It becomes lacking because you're doing way too much. So you have to sit down and weigh: is you opening up a studio and doing all, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to be producing, because at the end of the day, it comes down to producing the best product possible, so that you are noticed and so that people want to invest in what you are putting out. And if in doing so, you're putting out halfway product, then you need to reevaluate. You know what I'm saying? Do I need to maybe take on somebody, give away? Because I had to learn that. I tried to wear as many hats. I was doing from not just the writing, the artwork as you see behind me. I was doing all of that. The part of the editing, which you have to do editing before you give it to a master editor. and started to realize that, certain things I had to realize I had to let certain things go and bring people on to take on some of that responsibility. A lot of the new covers that I do, that I put out, I didn't do those covers. Those are people that, what I'm saying. So you've got to, some people, I get it. You know what I mean. He's actually right. You get 100% of the work because it comes to you, and that's a plus. Because if you're putting in the work and you're putting in, then why shouldn't it come to you? Yeah. But if it's going to, at the end, cause you to suffer, which I've seen a lot of people where, what I'm saying, they take on too much, and next thing you know, the work goes from here to here, then it's something you got to think of. You got to think about that. So that's my thought on that.
Well, there's a certain director that I think we all know. He directs and writes, and and he pretty much plays to like a certain audience. Yeah. And I think that if he would open himself up to other writers, I think we would probably see, a change, or a good change, a change for the better, with diverse ideas, but I think you know who I'm talking about.
Am I able to make a hint? Like, does he wear a dress?
Hallelujah.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
Yes.
No, don't get me wrong. I love the guy. Huh? Don't get me wrong. I love the guy. I love what he's done so far. And one of my favorite films of his is what was Good Deeds. Good Deeds was my favorite, actually.
Yes. Yes. I grew his films. I grew up. I've seen. I think the one. What was it? The Family That Prays Together.
Yes.
Was an amazing film. So nobody, but I think he's fallen into this thing where it's like the same thing over and over, and it's like, dude, we get it, but you're beating a kind of a dead horse. You need, maybe you're not. You need new, like you said, new writers to come in and show them a new perspective.
So let's say this, because this is very interesting. I saw a clip where a famous actress, old school actress, was like hired by him. Long story short, she got paid more working with him than she ever got paid before. And she said, "Don't say nothing bad about him because he paid me. In fact, after we filmed, he said you did such a good job in giving you more money." Yeah, and she was blown away. But at the same time, there's all these stories of writers that after the writers' strike, they were so happy, and he was like, "No, I'm firing all of you." Basically, he wasn't paying them what they're worth, or wasn't giving them the points and all the other stuff. So the thing is, I think that, like, and I get the story from humble beginnings, but at some point, it's like, you just, how much do you want in your pocket?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lack of like looking towards the future. It's just like, well, I want to say everything is written by me. I want to say even if it's not, I'm going to at least advertise that it is. And I'm also going to pay people as if I wrote everything. And it's business. The thing is like these writers, it's hard because you want to get in the door and you want a chance, but you don't have to. It's one of those things you gotta dance with the D. If you want to dance with the D, or you say, you know what, believe in yourself, film your own series. You don't have to write for people that want to steal everything and don't want to give you everything. It was your choice.
Right. Yeah.
But everybody wants the quick win. I get that too. So.
Right.
I'm in the industry, but you're not getting paid. Like, I'm in there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it doesn't, the whole thing about money, it doesn't equal success to me. I'm like, listen, it just seemed like yesterday I was a kid playing Atari 2600. And
Mm.
then one day I'm looking on YouTube, and literally hundreds upon thousands of gamers are playing a video game that I voice acted in.
Mm.
I mean, people are
Right.
hearing my voice, and I would call that success, and it's
Yeah.
just going up. Now it's just going up. That's all.
Yeah.
Now it's just and it depends upon me. I have to put myself out there to be able to go up and go up and go up the notch in order
Yeah.
for me to see what I want to see.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And leverage
And I'm
that and
enjoying
move
myself.
that and no, definitely. I think
Yeah.
that is a thing. I mean, when you look at output, if you think of it in terms of output, your energy field is out there. Your energy, so pieces of
Yes.
you, your DNA, your vibration is out there, and 100%, 100%. So
But HB on something that he just said it real quickly. You have to have fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
right.
You gotta if you gotta have you have to if you're gonna do this, you gotta if this what you have to have fun.
Right.
If you're not
Exactly.
having fun, if every day that you wake up, yeah, you're gonna have your hard days. Everybody has a hard day every
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're not in this to enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
you're it's gonna be lacking, man. It's gonna be lacking. It's gonna be like you'll be at the point where I don't want to do this no more. Like like oh my god, you know what I'm saying?
And a lot of
and
people do
some
that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stars. If you start YouTubing them and you're hearing all these, it's a big thing now where people are doing their own investigating, gossip reporting, and the amount of stars that, or child stars that have stepped away because it just wasn't
Yes.
fun anymore. You know,
Yep.
Right.
it just was fun.
And that's what's important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good.
And that's the thing about like having your own space is like you can really work on your own time. You can give yourself a timeline on when you want to have everything out, and the moment that things get, I mean, and what other people don't have the luxury of when they're under contract with a bigger company is being able to step away. Like I'm working on an album right now. And there's and some of the songs, like one of the songs that I'm working on, it's like I have to back away from it because it's coming along good, but there's just certain things that just need to be tweaked a little bit, and it becomes it sometimes it becomes frustrating because you have to do things over and over and over again. I got to sing this line over again and do this, and I'm like, okay, this is turning into too much like work. Let me back off of it.
Yes.
But when you're under contract, you don't have that luxury. It has to be out at a certain time.
Exactly.
So
Right.
it's okay to back off of your stuff.
Yeah.
And come back with a freshness. There you go.
Right. But also, this goes back to the conversation. You have your own studio where you can do a line 175 takes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. That's a
That's
plus.
it.
That's a plus.
That's a plus.
Huge plus.
So that's definitely a plus. So let's talk about that. So anyone out there that's interested, economically, what does that look like to create your own studio? What kind of budget do people need to put together?
They have to look. They have to really look around and shop around and find what they need and what they don't need. Like with the music and everything. I mean, I see people with mixers and all these other, all this other stuff. And then when I'm sitting down and I just literally have a digital audio workstation on my laptop with an interface so I could put my instruments in and a keyboard. And as far as people, oh, you need a mixer so you can mix it down. Yeah, but what about the mixer that's already there on the screen? Well, I can't use that. And then when I play my stuff, especially, see, my fiance, she loves me to death.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. My fiance, she loves me to death, and it is like one of my biggest supporters. I wouldn't even be doing half the stuff without her. But I'm gonna tell you something. She's very, very raw and very, very honest in her critique because she's taken marketing and business. And when she hears something that don't sound right, she was like, Harold, you need to take it. No. It sounds like you're screaming. You need to take that entire song and transpose it down about 2 keys. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not going to sound as powerful. She was like, Harold, you're not going to hit those notes. So I said, all right. I bring it down about 2 keys, and then I start singing it, and it actually sounds better. I'm not straining my voice, and I'm able to actually get the point of the song out without straining myself.
Yeah.
So, and when she listens to it, I go, well, okay, babe, I'm gonna let you listen to the music, and she gives me a real honest, brutally honest. She's brutally honest. Every sometimes I'm like, you don't love me, but she says the reason she says, I don't want you to fail. I'm looking at it from a business aspect and from a music listener. You need to change this, you need to change that. And then when I finally got it right, then she goes, it's not just because she's my love, but it's because she's in that business. She does marketing. She's taken marketing and she's good at what she does. So I can take her thoughts and her opinions as pretty much Bible.
That's important. That is, I think that like not only in the conversation, a studio, non-studio, but just as a creative having that wall that you can bounce off of.
Yeah.
To say you're on the right track, you're losing track. Remember you said you wanted to do this? Well, then why are you doing that? Because that's what
she says that too. That's the reason why I'm making her one of the producers on the album. She's I was like, hon, you're a producer on this album. She was like,
oh wow.
Why? She was like, why? Because you,
Right.
because she helped.
No, I mean, it's important for sure. How we doing? Ooh. All right, so if we had to wrap up our thoughts, studio, non-studio, and I think what I'll probably do is in the future come up with some numbers for people. If you know what, leave some comments if you want us to go even further with this conversation, because we kind of dipped around, because there are a lot of things to consider. As an artist,
you got to shop around.
Kipjo, what you're saying, like, well, what is your voice? What is your talent? What is your gift? And how do you work on that and make sure you're staying within your lane, right? Yeah. And then HB, what you say, having that direction and having that guidance, or at least, what do you call it? Advice. Because you got to think about the marketing. If you're creating something to sell, you do need to touch base and go out of just the artist's head and like, well, how are people going to consume this? So I think that's super important. But do you guys have like one or two lines of, before we run out of time, of studio, non-studio to put out there?
I would say go with your heart. On that, make sure that what you're doing it works for you and what you're trying to produce, what you're trying to put out. If a studio works for you, go for it. If not, consider other alternatives. So,
I would say be sure that this is exactly what you want to do, because I have tons of people telling me, how do I get into voice acting? I tell them to get trained first before they get any equipment, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself being frustrated and being in a room with a lot of equipment that you don't use. But as far as like a startup, if you want to start something up, as far as a music studio, I would say that a good startup studio is going to run you about maximum $700. And you also have to look at your space.
Yep.
That's good.
Think about that. $700 in comparison to $7,000 back in the day.
Right. I would say, and for the future, but one thing that somebody said this to me. They said, well, are you creating this space for others, or are you creating it for yourself? Like, what is the objective? So I think it's the first thing is, what is your objective? And can you get that met? And if there's anything extra, great. So we'll throw that to you.
Yep.
Kipjo, we got HB Gibson. I am 7. Thank you so much. We just did a sea of conversations. Well, would love to have you guys again. This has been amazing. Thank you, everybody. You're watching GEEKCASTER, and we out of here.
Guys.
All right.
Woohoo! And we made it in time.